Hey y'all, welcome back. Time for change. Yeah, I know. He's still here.
Hey, listen, they say it's so nice we had to do it twice. You know what I'm saying? Part two. We had to do part two. We had to do something different. We had to do something different.
Yes, I'm telling you, y'all, we got off the mic and we was like, damn, we could have talked about that. Dang, we could have talked about that. Damn, we could have talked about that.
So say why not just do another one?
Hey, so here we are.
Hey, man, part two. So let me ask you this. We gonna since you kind of interviewed me. We gonna flip it this time. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take over and I'm gonna go ahead and host TSC podcast. You know what I'm saying? This is all natural. You know what I'm saying? She said we be doing it organic, so that's what we doing.
We are.
When did you know that entrepreneurship was for you? Because I realized, right, that it is a certain. It's a certain mind frame. Nah, not at all. She's like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
But no, because I realized entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, right? And when did you realize that you had the business mind to be an entrepreneur? And what did that look like for you?
Yes, I think when I was talking to my I don't know, what's these people? Viewers, guests.
Yeah, we still coming up with the name.
So when I was talking to them, I told them when somebody told me to dye my hair to fit in.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I'm a boss. Because nobody's going to tell me to do that. So I felt some type of way. And then I didn't have a lane. So I graduated with my master's in vocational rehab counseling.
Okay.
As a vocational rehab counselor, it was no job paying over $35K at the time. And I was just like, I need my own lane.
Yeah.
I developed a lot of different programs in Washington, D.C. that pertains to employment services. And I was nationally recognized. And I had this shout out to, I can't really name her because she still works for the government. But I had someone tell me, why are you working for somebody else? You turned this around this fast. Why are you here? And I was like, well, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to do my own thing. Like I always wanted to do it. And she was like, so do it. And I was like, yeah. So I did. I used that time working full time to sew into what I felt like was my calling, because I always wanted to help people. I always felt ordained to help people. And I wanted me and my brother's goal was to help many people at a time. So I was just like, yeah, you know what? I was like, I'm just going to sew every 2 weeks. I'm going to sew into my company. So that's what I did. And it wasn't until I didn't quit. I didn't quit, but I'm talking about like quit like my job.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, as you see, I think I think people have a misconception of entrepreneurship, and let me know if you agree or disagree. That you are just supposed to quit your job and just do this and think you can go all in, when in actuality you have to understand that in order for your business to thrive, there has to be some type of capital. You have to have some type of capital to put into doing your business.
Yeah.
So, you know.
he tapped into all the but you're absolutely right.
You know, if people think like, oh, I can just quit my job and do this, and then like, no, it doesn't work that way. It takes money to make money.
It does. So we talked in our Droppin Gems show, we've talked about how to leverage and utilize different life insurance policies.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
We talked about that. We talked about just, if you don't own a home, what that looks like, what your credit need to look like. So we talked about wealth.
So you talked about how you can use your life insurance, because people think that life insurance is just
it's for the living.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we learned that. It's for the living.
Nice.
So we talked about that, but I also had shared that, I at one point needed all of these resources to support me in maintaining and keeping everything going in my current life, and even starting Time Change Consulting.
Right.
So we was talking about that, but that was basically what it was. It was me sewing into every 2 weeks, and then I got fired.
Came to me. I got it.
Well, I got laid off.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I just like, we gotta go. We swimming. We swimming. I was like, it's no going back. No, I'm not working for nobody else. That was my last job, and that was it. I was like, I'm out here. I'm outside.
That's it. I got the name for the community.
Okay.
The Change Agents.
Okay,
change agents,
okay.
Change angels. I don't know, whatever.
Change agents.
Change agents.
You have committed yourself to change, and we are here to put a badge on you.
Boom! Look at it! Boom! Look at the marketing! Wow!
Marketing, yes.
Boom! So you gotta make little stars with CH. The Change Agent community.
Yes, I like it. I do.
So your viewers are now the agents.
Yes, Change Agents community.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's what I did. And entrepreneurship has been my thing. I just kept tapping into helping in different avenues. So my school is a healthcare school, only because I used to be a candy striper at Greater Southeast Hospital.
Wow.
So I just was trying to save Greater Southeast Hospital. Right? I was trying to save.
This is why you had the candy. Listen, I see all the marketing things that are happening here. Okay, it's all making sense.
Yes, it's marketing all around.
I see.
So that's exactly what it was. It was like, I gotta do this. I gotta be a candy striper. I gotta do this. I was successful at getting a contract with Greater Southeast Hospital, but as soon as I got it, my students had to move to Bridgepoint, Bridgepoint National Harbor, and then Bridgepoint Capitol Hill. So we still got moved out of the community. That was the whole goal, because I grew up right there, and we don't have career exposure in our community. As much as I would like to. I used to take individuals on field trips. I used to take a whole bus down to the best field trip ever was taking individuals to the bankruptcy court.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. It was weird. We got a picture of on the wall. But the bankruptcy court, and the reason why was because they got to interview judges and lawyers, right?
Nice.
And the youth, when I say I tapped into so much trauma with them, because they ask questions like, do you care if you lock my mother or father up? And it was a therapeutic conversation that came out of that.
Wow, I'm curious what the response was.
They said they do.
But they do have a job to do, right?
They do have a job to do. Yeah. They said, and people, if they commit certain crimes, they have to pay the cost for the certain crimes that they commit. But because the judge said that they cared, it changed a perspective, in their trauma, and it even encouraged that person who took that information. It encouraged her to even research like what it would be to be a lawyer versus her like running away from it. And understanding it from a different perspective, because I think we have a lot of, we do have a lot of legal stuff that we battle in our African American community, and we don't trust law enforcement or judges or legal teams. But I was honored to take all of those kids. So we tried to take most vulnerable youth out and help them in understanding different careers. And then it just kept going. It just kept going into the shelters, telling them, I'm time for change, I'm telling you really, and just asking them, do they need help? And I just kept on going with that. The money followed. So when you was mentioning that in the last segment, I was just like, because, nobody paid me to go to the shelters. Nobody paid me to go inquire if anyone needed help there. Nobody. So they got tired of asking for me, and I was just like, I can help you, I'll help you, I'll try to help you and even point them in the right direction, and then it's been history.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Something else we were talking about, the misconception of what it is to be a boss, right?
Oh yeah. Talk about that off man. That's why we back.
See, listen, that's why we back. But, people think, when you're the boss, right, that you have all this money and all the things.
Yes.
But just talk about a little bit about, because we something we both agreed on was the bosses eat last.
Yes. The bosses eat last.
A lot of people say they're a boss, but until it's time to pay the bills, it's all fun and games until the check comes.
Man, I'm telling you. So
yeah, just talk about some of your business practices as far as when it comes to making sure that your staff eats before you eat.
I know. And don't get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble. But we receive all types of grants, all types of contracts, different funding opportunities that come across. But and as we will talk in our coming segments about grants and contracts and stuff, they don't pay all the time on time.
Right.
And so that your money is coming, and in a nonprofit or in any agency that you do operate off of government contracts or grants, you have to know that your payday gonna come after you done the job.
Yeah.
Or even midway through. And sometimes midway is 6 months.
Yeah.
And I definitely I'm very close with all my staff. All my staff have worked for me, just about all of them since the beginning of time, with the exception of my instructional staff, like nurses and stuff like that. But the reason why they're so loyal is because they understand that I pay them first. I pay them first. And if I don't have enough, I wait until my paycheck. A nonprofit is ran that way in a lot of different places. And I've done that, and I learned a hard lesson last year, because I run my company that way. I still, to this day, payday was last week. I don't get paid.
Yeah.
So I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah.
And I ran my payroll, but I learned a hard lesson last year because I was paying unto myself for a significant amount of time. And what you'll find in business is that everything, you have to follow the money. So the money reveals so many different parts of your company. Right? So if this person do this, then this money comes in. If this person do this money comes in. But if this person don't do this, then this money don't come in. Then the money is leaving from another budget that wasn't even didn't have nothing to do with this person and what they do.
Yeah.
So I learned the hard lesson because I was paying, giving raises and paying, and it was exposed because I followed the money.
Right.
I had a whole accountant. I was like, I need to figure out why is this not hitting the way how it needs to hit. I need to pay this. And so you wouldn't know that unless you were a real good entrepreneur and a good boss to back up and say, I ain't even gonna pay myself. I'ma just watch the money. I'ma see what's going on. And that right there is advanced CEO stuff, right? So I'll train you on that.
Yeah,
but
I'm learning. Look, you ain't dropping gems for me now, because it's different, right? Because you have people that work for. I'm just a sole, so I just have to worry about myself. So but even in that, it's I can only imagine what it's like to have employees and people that depend on you. It's funny how and I tell people that sometimes when they complain about their job, think about it though. If you were the boss and you were sitting in somebody else's shoes, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes as employees, people don't do that.
They don't. A lot of them don't. You have some loyal people who do, but a lot of them don't. I talked a little bit about too the structure of business, and remember I was saying man, you can have a micro business and you can have a big business, but I felt like Time for Change just took on a life of its own, and I had to grow up into this entrepreneur and be prepared to like look at it, have that responsibility of these people relying on
me. Yeah.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary because I have my home, I have my car, I have everything that I need, right? And my water, my food, or whatever. But when you going to run that payroll and the account is low, you moving everything around, all of your resources to make sure that those individuals get paid. And it's very, I mean, and that's with me knowing that I'm gonna get paid. Yeah. I literally ran payroll on Thursday, and I, you know, this is just full transparency. Thursday, and then the money was not in the account, but my money dropped 5 p.m. on Friday from the government. So I missed payroll, but everybody else got paid. So that's something to think about. And now that I miss payroll, I don't even think about paying myself. I'm thinking about, all right, so what debt the Time for Change had from 2024 that I could pay off with that same check that I didn't pay myself to make sure we still swimming, right? Wow. I know. It's bad. It's bad. It's a lot. It is very much, when you pay other people, you know, it is. It's a commitment. It takes a certain level of leadership and a certain level of faith that all things is going to work out and all things is going to be okay.
Okay.
All things, I'm telling you. Because if it wasn't for, I tell them all the time, that I tell my change agents all the time. Yeah. I tell them all the time, if it wasn't for me being spiritually ordained to do what I do and being ingrained into my spirituality and knowing that everything is going to be okay, I would not be able to not pull the trigger and not pay me and pay everybody else. I would not be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, because you'll be scared. I mean, y'all will be scared. I got bills. I got bills. Time for Change got bills. Time for Change Consulting got bills. I had bills. Tanya really has bills. My kids have bills. Everybody has bills. Yeah. But you have to have faith that it's all going to work out because you have to work. And I know. I'm like, I stay up all hours of the night. I write grants. I write contracts all hours of the night. I still volunteer for Time for Change ever since the beginning. And I've been in business for 9 years, but I still volunteer. I still pick up the computer and say, you know what, I gotta get that done. And it's past business hours. Yeah. It don't matter. It's still my commitment to what I chose to do.
As an entrepreneur, how do you balance Time for Change and Tanya time?
Yeah. One thing about me, I'm like Aladdin.
Maximize on that 24.
I like to travel and then so I always look at the months, right? And I say, oh, this is a good week. This a good 4 days. I can do something. And I'm like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just go. I don't even care. I'm just booking. I'm gonna just go. And then when I go, like, I'm like, I gotta disappear. Like, I gotta just fall off the grid. I gotta really take time out to myself. Let me go do a spa. Let me just go walk around and like adventure and go figure out my life. And if it's only for 4 days or 3 days, man, that's how I get down. And then I just took my son, my youngest son, to Disney World.
Nice.
I had a whole blast. Just roller coaster after roller coaster after roller coaster, and that right there was so therapeutic because who could get on a roller coaster back to back but a kid, right? And here I am, healthy enough to do that, and I'm blessed. So that's how I do it. I make sure that I spend time, I pencil time in, because like you said, when you was offline, you can't get time back. It's the most expensive thing.
Important currency. Like people think money, all this.
Right.
Time is definitely the most important currency you have as a human, just not even an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the one thing you definitely can't get back.
You cannot get it back. So putting in that time, so when I do pick up that computer and I do write, or I do, take a look and browse through grants or browse through contracts or whatever, that's dedicated time that I'm giving to, my agency, my company, and dedicated time when I travel and shut everything off to my my kids and making sure that I'm doing what I need to do for them.
That's so dope. That's so dope.
But thank you. But you know, it is what it is. But I mean, entrepreneurship is not for the faint.
Yeah.
I told them my change agents that too. It's not for the faint. You definitely have to be able to manage your time well, because you know I could put something on my calendar, but I live by my Google Calendar.
Yeah.
I was telling her that I said I don't care if you was late. You told me you was gonna be here, so as long as you gonna be here, I'ma be here. So just making sure that I plan my time accordingly. You know, even this room that we do the podcast in, I will have a class here. I kick them out. I tell them, I'm recording. You cannot come.
Wow.
And they, you know, but all of that is scheduled. All of that is making sure that your space is your space, or you know, your time is your time, and when you do certain things, it gets done at certain things. Because nobody could ever say that I did anything at the wrong time.
Right.
That's
real.
Nobody can say that. Like, oh, was she on time for change time? Was she working on? No, I was working for time change consultant because it was after 5 and I was doing, you know. Yeah. So nobody can never say that I was doing something at a different time.
When do you know that it's time to scale either up or down as a business person?
Yes. So with a nonprofit, because it's different with for-profits. I'm not so much versed in the for-profit scale up, but I do know as a business owner for 9 years how you can identify these things. And when you are inside of your nonprofit, because you're just working all the time. Yeah. Right? I told them, I said, don't think you're going to get a nonprofit. You're not working for everybody else. You're working for everybody else. You're working all the time. So when you working and you looking at the things that you're applying for, like, so I already have, I don't know, I'm gonna say 4 proposals, right, in my head for this physical year. I already work on 2026, if I ever can. If it's a possible solicitation or anything that's out, I'm working ahead. I already applied for. I've applied for already something that's for 2026 and 2027. Right? So I'm already there. So this budget that I'm working on, I'm waiting for it to popularize. So I'm always looking ahead to see if I can scale, but then I'm looking at the current staff and everybody that I have and their workload all the time. So making sure that you're paying attention to their workload and what they can do and what they can't do. Because you'll have staff say, I can do it, 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 and then next thing you know, everything falls. So making sure that you are paying attention, you as a leader are paying attention to the workload because of your staff. Because they will be loyal and tell you that they can do everything, but that don't mean that they can do everything.
You gotta know their strengths and their weaknesses.
Exactly. Yes. Strength, Jim. Yes, strength and weaknesses, because you have to be prepared. You're the person that's so accountable. I said that in my first show. You are now becoming an entrepreneur, and you are the person that is solely accountable for everything that happens thereafter you build something. So just like I'm responsible to pay them, I'm responsible to pay attention to if they can do something or if they cannot. And I learned that hard lesson last year. But the thing about it is, you have to be able to, once you identify that and what they can do, your budget is already based on the things that you already applied for. Right. So I still have probably about 3 or 4 solicitations I haven't heard from. We're in mid-year. Yeah. Okay, so we're in mid-year. So now we're sitting here and we're like, okay, what's going to come down the pipe? Well, the ones that I just was awarded, I'm like, oh, this staff can be tied up with this staff can be tied up with that, this staff is going to be tied up with that. So if they are tied up with those things, then it's time for me to scale up. I need to already be hiring. The one thing that I know too, that I always keep, when you have an operating business, because it's only when you operate and you know you're going to need stuff, you should pay an Indeed bill like you pay everything else. So I have 2 positions that's on time for change just sitting there. The positions I have sitting there is the ones that's always hard to hire for. A day nurse, a counselor, right? So all of those things are hard to obtain somebody who's a good fit for time for change, because it might be easy for other people, but I'm picky.
Right.
But paying attention to that, because you never know when you got to scale up. You never know when you got to pull a resume. You never know when you got to do that. And those are positions that you always want to use. So I think how you know is like what you put out. So if you apply for, because you're working on the next fiscal year. So if you apply for all of this stuff, and you apply for 6, 7 things, and I heard from 2, then what you gonna do with those 4 things when it's time to get people? You should already have those positions sitting there, because you gotta be ready to scale up as soon as you happen. And that's what happens with nonprofits. Now, with for-profits, you're paying attention to scale of price of people paying you a certain rate. You feeling overwhelmed because it's you, right? So you feeling overwhelmed to the point that you like, I need to hire help. I already knew doing time change consulting that I needed a marketing person. So that's off the break, because I was like, I'm not going to be doing my flyers, I'm not going to be doing my media, I'm not going to be doing any of that. I knew what I wasn't going to do. I was like, I'm not doing none of that stuff. I don't do it for time change. No, I'm not doing. I did it at the early beginning stages. I knew I would need a camera person. These are the things that I knew that I was going to need. Absolutely. So I had to make sure that I had those things in place, and I was like, well, everything else, it'll follow. I was like, I value that you had, you text me, you asked me about, like, is it still going on? And what I found so funny is one of the things that I would do, and even in time for change, but I don't do it with time change consulting because I don't have time all the time, but to like send a whole email, right? You are a part of Droppin Gems podcast. And this is still going to go on. This is still going to go on, right? And I'll see you soon, and sending the address and all that stuff. I wish I could do all of that stuff, but
a little generic, copy paste. Work smarter, not harder. That's another gem for you change agents out there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Work smarter, not harder. Okay, real quick, because I know we don't have much time left.
Yes.
My last question for you. What is your definition or idea of the difference between a leader and a boss?
Well, a boss tells you what to do. A leader leads you into the right direction. And sometimes you have to be both. You do. And you have to gauge when you have to be the boss and when you have to be the leader. Now, I'm not one of those people that's gonna say, you're not supposed to boss, like you're not supposed to be boss people around. Nah. Sometimes people need that type of communication, and we'll definitely talk about this too in our leader segment, because this is good. But you definitely are going to have to pay very close attention to who is going to need that direction, because everybody just can't work. It's a difference between supervision and delegation. And you got to tell them something, and some people you could just surveillance and make sure, and I have different range. I have a doctor that works for me, I have nurses that work for me, I have a pharmacist that works for me, but those individuals that work for me, I don't know their trade, right? So I don't really have to, I supervise what they do, but they know their trade.
Right.
But when I have to boss up to tell them something of how the school is ran, and I boss up, I tell them, and I be like, all right, just so you know.
That's how it goes down here.
That's how it goes down. Time change. Just so you know. But absolutely. I value you taking the time out to ask me some questions, because I didn't think it was going to be this way.
You know what I'm saying? You had to reverse it for the part 2. You know what I'm saying? I had to do a little something different. Now we got a whole name for the community. We got the agents out there.
Yes. I had no clue, but I'm honored that you came to ask me questions. that felt a little different. I was in the hot seat, y'all.
Yeah, just a little bit. You was dropping gems, you giving me some gems. So
Yes.
but no, I thank you and appreciate you, just sharing your knowledge of,
Yeah,
just kind of how you
absolutely.
conduct business and how things look in your world. And,
Mhm.
it's definitely, you can always listen to somebody's story and just take little things and incorporate it into yours. So
Yeah, that's
I
true.
appreciate you,
That's
so.
true. I appreciate you too.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta go ahead and end the show.
I got in the show. So listen, for those that want to know more about what you have coming up in the near future, future episodes, what can you let the agents know?
Yes, so check us out on our YouTube channel at Time for Change Console. Check us out on Instagram at Time for Change Console. We also have Time for Change TLC. So make sure that you come check us out. Droppin Gems every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Aladdin, for part 2. This is very unique in the life of survivor of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. We gonna listen, and we got the change. Listen, hold on, watch this. So we got the change agent merch coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the things, the t-shirts, the buttons, the pants, all the things. So just be on the lookout for that. Make sure you continue to subscribe, like, support. There it is.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks all. Oh, good.